Welcome back to the Fantasy Baseball Beat, part of the Triple Play Fantasy Network. Thank you for joining us. My name is Chris Torres, and I'm going to be your host today. Listen, we've got a really good episode for you today, and I know I say that every time, but I really mean it because we're talking about my favorite team, the New York Yankees. We've also got a great guest. Bryan Hoch of MLB.com is going to be joining us in a few minutes to talk about the Aaron Judge signing, Carlos Rodon, and much, much more. But you know why I also feel good today? I am wearing my El Duque jersey from 1999. That's right. This baby is a one of one. Not only does it have the 1998 World Series patch on the sleeve, but the name on the back says El Duque, not Hernandez. This was before Players Weekend and all that stuff became cool. I wore this all the time when I was in high school, and I felt like that made me unique. You know, everybody my age was into Jeter, Bernie, Mariano. Me, I had to be a little bit different, a little against the grain, and I chose El Duque as my favorite player. I got all his rookie cards, I wore the jersey, and listen to this. I used to be in my room by myself and just repeatedly mimic his signature leg kick. You know how he would do that thing where he would lift his leg above his head and as part of his pitching windup? Yeah, I would do that while I was like watching TV or just in my room with nothing else to do. Really sick stuff. Somehow, I turned out to be a functioning adult and had someone of the opposite sex actually show some interest in me, which is frankly amazing. I don't know. Maybe it was the jersey that really attracted my wife. We'll have to get her on sometime to get her thoughts. But I can smell the teenage angst and the BO of 16-year-old Torres as I wear this right now. But 36-year-old me, feeling good. Probably not smelling the best right now, but that's all right. Let me bring in my co-host, Carlos Marcano, my friend. How you smelling today? And how you feeling about the A's making a big splash in free agency, signing
Jesus
Trevor May for
Christ.
$9 million? What?
That's like signing Mike Trout for the A's, you know. That's the
That's a big
biggest
deal.
contract. Yeah, that's the biggest contract you will ever see from
I
the
mean,
A's. Oh
nine
my
million
god.
isn't that like probably at least a quarter of their entire payroll, right? For
Yeah,
a
yeah. I'm,
mediocre middle reliever.
I'm afraid they're gonna cut stuff like I don't know, water in the clubhouse or something so they can pay.
Right,
They're gonna be
exactly.
able to pay me or something. I'm scared of what's going to happen then. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry about you being an A's fan. That is super depressing.
Jesus
I know we
Christ.
talked in the chat about it. I
Yeah.
don't even know if it's worth doing an episode on the A's.
Oh my
You know, because
God.
it's I don't even consider them a major league team at this point. It's
Yeah.
it's an absolute embarrassment, disgrace. Honestly, I don't even know like why bother signing Trevor May for that much money when the
I
rest of
don't
the
know.
team is not even. I don't even know if they're AAA level.
And don't be surprised if they get Eric Hosmer now that no
Yeah.
one's wants him. Just stir things up and, and do some.
Well, he's
I
probably
mean,
free,
it's a
right? So that's right up the A's
yeah.
alley.
That's their favorite amount of money, free.
Yep.
It's crazy. I mean, it's really bad to be an A's fan, but let's cheer this up, man.
Yeah, what am I what am
I
I doing? I'm bringing the A's into what
yeah.
should be a very good, exciting episode. We got a lot of things happening with the Yankees, so forget the A's. All right, we may not even talk about them again. But Carlos, want to know just what are you hoping to get out of this interview with Bryan Hoch today?
Oh man, this is the team of the hour. All those big, well, they resigned the biggest start in the game right now, which doesn't need introduction, right? Aaron Judge, and now they got one of the best, probably the best left-hander starting pitcher in the game right now. Some might say that. I mean, I think he's the best left-handed. When he's healthy, he's just nasty. So that rotation, man, that looks good. I'm happy for you. You know, I'm not usually so kind with Yankees fans, but I
But
mean,
you know
uh,
me now, and you've
yeah,
softened your stance a little bit, right?
yeah.
I'm
Well,
representing them well. I hope.
I'm getting old, so I get softer. You know, so uh, You got me when I got soft. So what can I do, man?
All right. Well,
I'm happy. I think it's good for the show. It's good for the business that teams invest all this money, whatever the Mets are doing, and I mean that's pocket change for those guys, and they are putting all the come on. It's great. I'm happy that that happens.
yeah, I mean, we're getting a case of the haves and the have-nots, right? You have the teams that are willing to spend, that really want to win, and then you just have the A's and teams like that are just content. It seems like pocketing the fans' money, whatever fans they have left, and
Yeah.
it's a shame. But listen, we're not going to focus on that. Again, we're going to focus on a team that is spending money, making some big moves, and to help us break all of it down. We've got Bryan Hoch of MLB.com. Uh, Bryan, we are so excited to have you on. Let me just introduce you also as the author of the upcoming book, 62, Aaron Judge, the New York Yankees, and the Pursuit of Greatness. I'm sure many Yankee fans are looking forward to checking that out. So I know you're coming on at a busy time. Honestly, I didn't even know if you'd be able to come on with the Rodon signing and so much going on. So we appreciate you making the time. How you doing?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. No, I definitely wanted to make this work. So happy to be on with you and chat a little bit about all things Yankees. But yeah, you're right. It has been a busy time. There's no rest on the Yankee beat. That's for sure.
Yeah, I got to ask you about this, just as I want to get your perspective as a beat writer. When you have something like the Rodon signing, we had an idea that this was a strong possibility, right? There were a lot of rumors that the Yankees were going to make a move on him. What is it like as a beat writer, just knowing that's out there? And I assume there's a desire to be the first one to have the news. And, just wondering, like, is it like constant anxiety when you have a situation like that? Like you just have to be plugged in? What is that experience like?
I think I would describe the entire experience of being a beat writer as constant anxiety. If
Okay.
it's not Rodon, it's something else, and you can't be first on everything. And you want to be, of course, but you understand that it's like the waves of the ocean. If you miss that one, there's always another one coming because this beat is constantly making news. And already this offseason, you've seen them, but they re-signed Anthony Rizzo. They made the big deal for Aaron Judge. They made the smaller signing of Tommy Kahnle, and then you had the Carlos Rodon thing. So none of those, well, with the exception of Kahnle, I guess I didn't see that one coming. The other ones, I guess you could have predicted. It was just a matter of when they were going to get those done. And today Andrew Benintendi goes to the White Sox. I didn't necessarily see that coming. I thought that there was a decent chance he'd be coming back to the Bronx, but you see the length of that contract, 5 years. I didn't think the Yankees wanted to go to that length for Benintendi, and so now they move on to their other options there. And I never felt that it was Benintendi or bust the way it was with Judge, where if they didn't bring back Aaron Judge, I didn't know what plan B was going to be. And I guess they could have just thrown money at every single free agent out there. But fortunately, I guess we'll never find out what they would have done if Judge had gone to the Giants.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that. I was so relieved when I saw the news. But yeah, and I was relieved last night when I saw that Rodon signed. So want to start there. What are your thoughts on the signing in general? And what do you think are like the second order effects of this move in terms of the rotation and in terms of moves that are going to come after this?
I think it gives them probably the most formidable rotation in the American League. I mean, you're going to have Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon 1-2 in a playoff series. I'll take my chances with that. And then with Nestor Cortez, Luis Severino, now Frankie Montas, your number 5 starter. And I know injuries happen, crazy stuff can happen during the course of 162, but on paper, that looks pretty strong to me. And I thought even before Rodon, I liked the way their rotation was shaping up because, in a playoff series, you're only going to have the first 3 or 4 guys start anyway. And then now you move Domingo Herman and Clark Schmidt and, I guess Davy Garcia back down the pecking order there. And it just makes them all the more deeper. And I think that Rodon is something special. He was obviously the top free agent arm still available on the market after Jacob deGrom and Justin Verlander came off the board. And so he's a guy the Yankees have liked a lot for a long time. He really seems to have put it together. The question was never stuff with him. It was health, and he's been healthy. So if he can go out and make your I'm not going to say 32 because, how many guys do make 32 starts these days? But if he can make your 27, 28, 29 starts for you and then be ready when the bell rings in the playoffs, then you get enough of those guys piled up there, you really can start setting up a rotation that you feel good about going in October.
Definitely. That looks amazing. And thinking about it, Brent, do you think there's another potential move that we could see following these big ones in the offseason? Something else that the Yankees might be pursuing?
Yeah, they're not done yet. And, that's what people were saying after the Judge signing. They were saying, oh, the Yankees aren't going to do anything else. I said, no, you can't just re-sign Aaron Judge and run it back with the same group that got swept by the Astros. You got to do more than that. Yeah. And I still think they have to do more. And that was the one thing that Hal Steinbrenner talked to Judge about when they met in Tampa face-to-face. And Judge said, look, we're not there. Like, what are we going to do to make this team better if I do come back? And Hal Steinbrenner promised him, he said that we can do enough to satisfy whatever your contract takes and do more this offseason. And so they've done more by bringing in Rodon, but there's still more to do here. And left field is the area that I'm looking at the most. I think that with Benintendi now off the board, right now, if they had to start the season today, unfortunately they don't, your starting left fielder is either Aaron Hicks or Oswaldo Cabrera. And you could get by with that, I guess, but it's not what you want to go into the season with. And so I definitely think whether it's making a trade for Bryan Reynolds, which I know that the fans all want, or maybe a smaller move for a guy like Max Kepler who can go play good defense out there. You sign maybe a reclamation project like a Michael Brantley or a Michael Conforto. To me, it's a couple of years too late on Brantley. I'd rather go to Conforto, but there's a lot of ways they can go there. I just don't see how they go. They make these moves. They spend all that money on Judge, all on Rodon, and then they go in bringing back Aaron Hicks again. I think there's got to be a trade coming up there where you can move Hicks along. It's best for both parties to kind of change the scenery there and start fresh in left field.
Yeah, I love the idea of, obviously Bryan Reynolds, he's going to be more expensive, but a guy like Max Kepler, I think he's a perfect fit, good defender, could take advantage of that short porch. They need a lefty bat. Their lineup is way too right-handed right now, so I think he'd be just a perfect fit for them. One player currently on the team that I'm hearing a lot of rumors about is Gleyber Torres, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of scratching my head on that one. So I want to ask you, how likely do you think it is that Gleyber Torres gets traded, and why do you think the Yankees appear to be so motivated to move him right now?
I think he's a guy that teams are going to ask about just because they have the same questions that we do about Gleyber. Is where does he fit in on this Yankee team? Is he a starter in the infield? We don't know. And so I think that alone makes him available. The fact they talked about him going to the Marlins in August for Pablo Lopez. And, even though that wasn't as close as media reports were painting it to be at the time, it was still on the table. Gleyber was very much available for the right offer, as are most guys. And so I think that at this stage of his career, Gleyber for a couple of years there in the beginning, it looked like he was not only going to be a perennial all-star, but this guy might be going to Cooperstown, and he's come off that considerably here. And so it's like, where does Gleyber fit in? Is he your starting second baseman? We don't know if DJ LeMahieu is going to be healthy. If DJ's not ready for opening day, then I think that increases the importance that the Yankees hold on to Gleyber. And that's why I don't see the Yankees doing anything with Gleyber until they know what DJ's health status is going to be. And we're going to find that out pretty soon here. I think it's coming up sometime between Christmas and New Year's. We should have a better clarification of if DJ is going to be able to avoid surgery. And if he needs surgery, he's out for opening day. But if he can continue kind of rehabbing this, I know he's been in Tampa taking ground balls and hitting a little bit, which is a good sign. I think that if he can avoid surgery, then you can realistically start to think about, all right, he's going to be ready for opening day. And then maybe if the right deal's on the table, one of these trades we talked about, or maybe something that Cashman's got cooking that we haven't even thought of, maybe Gleyber could be in that.
Yeah, I feel like Cashman always throws us a curveball at some point during the offseason with an
Yeah.
unexpected move.
Yeah.
With Gleyber, and I'm not biased just because I have the same last name, no relation, but I feel like the expectations that the organization, the fans had for him when he came over as like the number one prospect or big time prospect, and how he started out so well. I wonder if it's just kind of like giving us this unrealistic perception of him. I feel like he's still a good player, like in my
Right.
opinion at least, he's a starting a quality starting second baseman. But it seems like the Yankees are definitely exploring the possibility of moving him. So I don't know. I just find that kind of odd, but yeah, I'm gonna pass this over to Carlos, and he's gonna take this in a little bit of a different direction here.
Yeah, well, just switching gears a little bit because there are sometimes things that people don't talk too much, and one thing that is interesting is the impact of Luis Rojas as the third baseman, the third base coach with the Yankees, and the increased aggressiveness and improved success of on the paths last year. Do you have I don't know the feeling of what Luis Rojas meant last year and his impact in the team going forward?
I think Rojas was a good fit on the coaching staff, but as far as them being aggressive, I think that was organizationally top to bottom. I remember I was in Tampa during the lockout and I was in minor league camp and I was watching these guys and I was like, wow, they are running a ton. Even in intra squad games, they were taking extra bases, they were stealing bases, in games that didn't even count. And I remember taking note of that. And then the name is escaping me, but the Yankees brought out this director of base running, a guy that they had throughout the entire minor league system. And I wrote it at the time, and I apologize for not coming up with the name, but that was a definite focus where they wanted to get away from being so station to station. And they really were for so many years, a team that just sat around and wait for the 3-run homer, and they live and die by that. And look, home runs are great, but you have to be able to manufacture a little bit. And I feel like that's an area where the Yankees knew they could get better at it. They had younger, more athletic guys certainly coming up through the pipeline, but you even saw that at the big league level this past year. I mean, how many times did Aaron Judge steal bases? You got a guy hitting 62 home runs and he's stealing bases too. And I think that, top to bottom in the organization, all the way down to rookie ball and then coming up to the big league level, they have made it a focus that they want to be less of that station to station team. And I think you saw the start of it this past year. And I expect that that's something that'll continue in 23 and 24 and beyond.
Yeah, and as fantasy baseball players, by the way, have you ever played fantasy baseball?
A little bit. I'm terrible at it. I gotta be honest with you.
You
It's
need
so
any
hard to
pointers?
keep
I
up
got you,
with.
man.
Yeah.
But
But I want to. Back in high school, I used to do it a lot, but now I got my hands full with the actual Yankees. It's hard to keep up with my own
you seem a
fantasy
little
team
busy.
and the other team. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But as fantasy baseball players, we love stolen bases. So like when a guy like Aaron Judge, I mean, he was obviously like a league winner, hitting 62 home runs, but also chipping in. I think he had, what was it, 16 or 19 stolen bases on top of that, which is just ridiculous. So kind of piggybacking off of that question, obviously there's going to be a lot of changes this year with the rules, and we're going to have bigger bases, no shift. The pitch clock is going to be in place. So I'm wondering, Bryan, which players do you think are going to be most impacted by this year's rule changes, either positively or negatively? And, I asked this question because obviously these players at a deeper level than we do. So I'm wondering if you just have like any insight into, like, for example, a player who, I don't know, is very set in their ways and is going to have a tough time with the pitch clock, or someone who's like very like, oh, well, now I have this advantage with a bigger base, I'm going to take advantage of that. Like, do you have any insight into players that might be impacted by this?
Yeah, I am curious to see how a guy like, for example, Garrett Cole deals with the pitch clock. Just because every time you kind of add new things around. But I think that spring training, it'll be an even playing field for everybody, and they'll get used to it pretty quickly. And I think I don't know if we're going to see that much of a difference. I don't know if a guy is going to steal second base just because he knows the base is a little bigger. I don't know if that's going to impact your decision that much. I mean, it may, but I think the shift is really where I think you're going to see the biggest difference in guys. And I mean, the first name that comes to my mind is Joey Gallo, who just signed with the Twins. I think he's going to benefit greatly. Guys like that. I remember reading Corey Seager lost, I think, 20-something hits to the shift last year, which is significant. But on this Yankee team, I think Anthony Rizzo is a guy that his batting average is going to tick up because of the shift, because there's no more shift there, and they can't play 3 defenders on the right side or have a guy stationed in the outfield. I think that's going to be big for him. And I expect offensive numbers to go up slightly around the game. But for a guy like Rizzo, I mean, if Mark Teixeira was still around, he'd be a prime candidate for that. Because I remember talking to Mark about the shift when teams started doing that. And he was so stubborn and set in his ways about, no, I'm not going to go down the third base line. I'm not going to settle for a single because my job is to hit home runs and I just have to hit it over the guys. And, well, how did that work out?
Yeah.
Maybe he should have taken a few more of those freebies down the third base line. But Rizzo's not quite to that extreme. But I think it's going to help him. And, on this Yankee team, he's probably one of the guys who's going to benefit the most from these rule changes.
Yeah, Anthony Rizzo is not a 224 hitter. I think the shift really had an impact on him. So we're definitely, I think we can expect an improvement there.
Totally. The other thing that we fantasy baseball players love, besides stolen bases, is finding out saves. So that's like the holy grail for us. Where are the save? And assuming that he's healthy, what percentage likelihood do you think Clay Holmes is going to be the Yankees closer?
I would say close to 100% to start the year. And, assuming he stays healthy and productive, probably pretty high. I think that he would be, if I was a fantasy baseball player and I'm looking to find saves on the Yankees, I would say draft Clay Holmes. But if you can't get Clay Holmes, get Jonathan Loáisiga. I think those are the two guys who are most likely to be getting save opportunities for this team. Loáisiga's got electric stuff. I just think that if Holmes falters at some point, whether it's a injury or ineffectiveness, I think Loáisiga would be the next guy up there on the pecking order. I guess Tommy Kahnle could be in that mix too, but I think Loáisiga would be my second choice.
Okay. Well, there's a good little nugget for us fantasy baseball players. Hopefully you could give us another one here. How do you see the shortstop battle playing out between Anthony Volpe, Oswald Peraza, and IKF?
Yeah, I think that they're going to give those kids a real legitimate chance to step up and be the opening day shortstop. And I don't think that there's a real appetite for IKF to come back and be the opening day shortstop, but I'm not ruling that out either. I think that they're going to give the kids a real chance in spring training. I think Peraza is more likely than Volpe just based on he's already done it at the big league level. Volpe hardly played at AAA last year. I could see a situation where Volpe comes into camp, does really well, but still starts the year at AAA, gets a couple months there, and then, maybe by the All-Star break, maybe by June, you're talking about promoting him if he's tearing the cover off the ball at AAA. But I would say I think it's more likely Peraza than Volpe at shortstop to start the year. But until I see something differently, the thing is with IKF, they just gave him $6 million. So I don't think they're going to give him $6 million to ride the bench. So I think that he's either the opening day shortstop or he gets traded. And I think that's a possibility. That could definitely happen too. So I think that's where you are here in December. It could look a lot differently when you get to pitchers and catchers in February.
Where does Oswaldo Cabrera fit into this?
Everywhere. I think he's proven that he can do everything. And I think right now on paper, he would be one of your left fielders, but I would feel comfortable if I'm the Yankees putting him at third base, at shortstop, at second, like whatever you need to do. He made some great plays on right field this past year. And that's the thing. What really impressed me about him is it's a guy who hardly played the outfield at all. And I know they're professional athletes. They should be able to play the outfield, but it's not always that easy. And we've seen tons of guys try to go from the infield to the outfield and really struggle with it. He's not one of them. He's really a true utility player. So I think that he's on the team for me, put it that way. He's definitely part of your opening day roster. Where he plays, how many starts he gets, is he just filling in for guys or is he an everyday regular? I think that remains to be seen, but he's going to be part of this mix. And so Oswaldo Cabrera can rent an apartment safely in New York, I think. I think he should be okay if he goes and does that for April.
I'm not biased, but he's a fellow Venezuelan, so there's something
there.
I mean,
There you go. Well, the more the merrier, right?
yeah. So thinking about all of this, and there is I think the Yankees have a good problem in terms of finding out who's the leadoff hitter for this team. And I know Judge can lead off.
Yeah.
I mean, but who do you think they're going to set? Are they going to keep riding it like that?
I don't know. I mean, as of right now, if I had to write out a lineup, I think Judge is your leadoff hitter, but that's not the way I would want to do it. I think they did that last year because, well, down the stretch, they were trying to get him as many at bats as they could. But even earlier than that, one of the best on base guys. But I feel like he hit so many solo homers there that you really lost some of the run production that you could have had out of that phenomenal year. So I think LeMahieu, if healthy, is your leadoff hitter, but that's a big if at this stage here. I think that with his bat to balls, he fits the profile better to me than Judge does. But you look around the league and guys like George Springer hit leadoff and Mookie Betts, and so the days when a guy like Judge could only hit third or fourth in a lineup, those are over. And so I guess you could hit Judge leadoff, but that wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah, it seems like there's an opportunity there for somebody, and maybe that player's not even on the roster. Maybe some of those players we discussed earlier could fit into the mix there. But Brian, I'm wondering, who is one under the radar player who's currently on the 40-man roster that you think has a chance to make some noise and surprise us this coming season?
Yeah, under the radar guys. One guy that, and I was looking at the 40-man roster a little bit earlier here today. One guy that I think Yankee fans probably aren't too excited about just because his season didn't go that well. But the Yankees, I can tell you, their front office is Greg Weissert. And I think that, he was on the roster, I believe, for the playoff series against the Astros. He wasn't on against Cleveland, but he's got big time stuff. He didn't show it that much at the big leagues. I know he had a disastrous kind of first game there, but he's a guy that the Yankees are looking at as he could be an answer for them in the middle innings, in middle relief there. And I think that he could definitely win a spot on the opening day roster and contribute this year. And got his feet wet a little bit last year. Like I said, it didn't go great for him, but the stuff is there. And I know that during the postseason, when the Yankees had their kind of taxi squad going, guys were really talking him up a lot in a situation where there was really no reason to be talking him up. So, I kind of tuck that away and bring that into 2023 and keep an eye on that.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. And I've heard his name thrown around in some early fantasy baseball podcasts as a guy to watch. He, like you said, I was just looking up. He has, we look at, there's someone on Twitter who has a pitching stuff model, and Greg Weissert graded out as a 70 stuff, which is well above average. So a guy definitely to keep on the radar. So another good piece of information there. But Brian, we're going to get you out of here in a few minutes, but we're just going to do a quick rapid fire segment. So just looking for a short answer here. So
Okay.
First one is your favorite road city to go to.
There's so many. It's probably West Coast. Seattle is one of my favorites. San Francisco's up there too. I just got back from San Diego at the winter meeting, so I love that city. But Chicago's a great eating city. A lot of these are what restaurants can I go to? Where do I like the hotel? Where am I comfortable? Kansas City's a great eating city, but I'm going to say Seattle. You're out there on the bay. It's beautiful. You got those big, tall trees everywhere. It's a cool city to walk around. The restaurants are great. The ballpark is great. I still call it Safeco Field, even though it's not. Yeah, Seattle, I think, is my favorite road city just because it's one of those places where as a kid watching baseball, it seemed like so foreign. I mean, it seems like it's 10,000 miles away from New York City, and I just never felt like I would ever get there. And to now go there for work, and I've been there, I don't know, a dozen times, probably one every year I've been on the beat. It's a really cool city. It's got a cool vibe to explore. And I like Seattle.
Very cool. So keep it
I
with
was
the theme of-
sure. I was sure it was not going to be Oakland.
Yeah.
I love San Francisco. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, the ballpark is in Oakland. You know, if the
Yeah.
Yankees go play the Giants, that's great.
Right. I'm an Oakland fan, so I suffer a lot with that. So
It's just a shame. They really need to get a new park. Everybody knows it. I mean,
Oh,
that
man.
is the bottom of the barrel. People always ask me, you know, what's your favorite ballpark? And then, you know, once in a while they'll say, what's your least favorite ballpark? You don't even have to think about it. It's Oakland. It's the bottom of the barrel. It's 30 out of 30, and it's not even close. And
Yeah.
it's just a shame, you know, because that fan base deserves so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Carlos deserves a lot better.
Oh, my
Absolutely.
God. Yeah.
All right, so let's bring it back to New York. I wanted to ask you, best place to grab a quick bite around the stadium?
I got to be honest with you. There's not a lot. I mean, inside the ballpark, there's plenty of places to get, you know, but walking around the ballpark there, you know, there's been a few days where, you know, go out after a game and you get a beer at the Yankee Tavern, which is kind of cool, which is about a block north of the stadium. And, you know, just to know you're at the bar where Babe Ruth used to be, like, that's something cool to do. And obviously there's all the shops there under the railway there on River Avenue. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of cool places to go eat. I haven't found them. Maybe somebody who's listening to this can point me in the right direction and tell me what I'm missing. But usually I get my meal before I go to the stadium. I'll eat at the stadium, but not so much from the surrounding area.
Yeah, and listeners, if you have any good suggestions, please send me the info. But yeah, you know, I end up just going to the McDonald's there, and I don't even go to McDonald's like by my
I've
house.
spent more time at that McDonald's than I ever should have. Yeah, right.
Yes,
because
exactly.
There's also a Taco Bell that opened recently. Probably, you know, right before the pandemic. I think that Taco Bell opened there, so that's an option if you're desperate. But I mean, we're talking McDonald's and Taco Bell. That's not exactly fine dining.
Yeah. So basically, what it means is they got to do something with that area and improve.
Somebody should definitely open a really good restaurant and put it right there by Yankee Stadium.
Forget it.
You'll make
be
bank.
a gold mine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one is just going to ask you point blank. Yankees opening day third baseman.
Yankee fans aren't going to like it.
Word, please.
Sorry. Yeah, I think Josh Donaldson's your guy. I think that, the Yankee fans aren't going to like it, but I don't see anybody making a trade to take on that salary. And just based on the amount of kind of hype and you know, positive words we've been getting from the front office, I really feel like they're gearing up to hope for a bounce back year from Donaldson. They're looking at all their little analytics that say it wasn't as bad as you thought it was, but it didn't look good. And, you know, man, especially during the postseason, it did not look good.
Yeah, there's those little analytics I don't think can mask what he did last year. It was a mess. I mean, if they show up to opening day with IKF and Josh Donaldson trotting out there, let's put it this way: they better make a lot more moves to make the fans happy, because it's gonna get ugly. All right, last rapid fire question: player you've most enjoyed covering during your time on the beat?
There's a lot of them, but I feel like as time has gone on here, and I've been further removed from it, I've really come to appreciate. I'm going to cop out here. I'm going to give you two. I'm going to say Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera. Just being there every step of the way. And my first year on the beat was 2007. So I really got to see them still in their prime. I got to see them continue on, win one more World Series, and be part of that kind of celebration in 2009, to just be around it, be a fly on the wall, see them prepared day in, day out, get to know them on a personal level. And I think I always appreciated it at the time. You know, I would watch Jeter get ready for a game and, you know, or talk to Derek, and I'd be like, I'd walk away, and, you know, we had a professional relationship where, you know, I need to talk to him every day, but I would still in the back of my mind be thinking, you know, this is like talking to Joe DiMaggio. Like, people are going to look back on Derek Jeter as this historic all-time Yankee. And the same with Mariano. And, you know, now that they've retired and just getting to see them a little bit now in the second phase of their lives, and it's kind of, you know, the story is closed here, and we know what they are. They're in Cooperstown. They actually have their plaques side by side, which is really cool. I think just the fact I was there for a big part of their story and got to see it firsthand and see how the greatest in the game prepared every single day and what they were like in the clubhouse and with their teammates. I think that it's a tie for me with Derek and Mariano being there. You're not going to see that again. So I feel like you're never going to see anybody like them again, teammates like that again. And I'll throw the whole core 4 in there with Bernie Williams. It should be a core 5, but you're just not going to see anything like that again. So now more removed from that, I've really come to appreciate how cool that was.
Yeah. Even just as a fan, I just feel like privileged to have grown up with those guys as like, my team. So yeah, just something that we're probably not going to see again. I actually heard you on another podcast talk about Mariano, tell a story about how he gave you some advice regarding your girlfriend at the time. And
that's right.
Yeah.
No, that's right. We were in Kansas City, and I don't know why. Somebody must have told him that I was dating this girl and was had not popped the question and wasn't even close to popping the question. And he kind of threw an arm around me and gave me like a 10-minute counseling session about how to, the importance of marriage and what that meant. And like, I certainly didn't ask him for the advice, but the fact that he kind of showed interest in me, just not as a reporter or just one of the guys in the room with a microphone, but like as a human being, that was cool. And I think that kind of speaks to who he is. The fact he'd take that time for a guy that he didn't really know that well outside of a professional setting. I think it speaks to how he treats people in his everyday life.
Yeah, that sounds like a Mariano thing to do. Yeah, just greatness that you were able to witness with that team. And you're seeing that now too with like the next generation, right? And you I began the podcast by plugging your book, the upcoming book you have on Aaron Judge, which I can't wait to read. But I was wondering if you could kind of give us an interesting story or tidbit from the book that will further encourage us to
There's so much. I could show you here all the research materials I got that I've been digging through. I mean, there has been no off season for me. I've been going through every box score and everything I can find on Judge and 1961 and tying them together with Maris. But I guess one little teaser I'll give you today. Earlier today, I was on the phone with Bobby Richardson, who's one of the last remaining members of that 1961 Yankees team. And we were talking about not just Roger Maris, but also Judge and his connection there and trying to tie the two things together. I mean, because that's what you got, these 3 great Yankees right fielders. You got Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, and Aaron Judge. All 3 of them played the same position at Yankee Stadium, set home run records. I think that's just so cool that happened there. And Bobby Richardson was telling me about, I guess he went to an old timers game a couple of years ago and he actually got to meet Judge. And he said Judge was one of the few guys who actually came out of the clubhouse and talked to the old timers. A lot of the guys were just in the clubhouse doing their own thing, but Judge actually came out and showed interest in the old timers, wanted to get to know them on a one-on-one level. And Richardson was telling me he looked up at Judge and he said his neck was going straight up like I'm doing right now. And he said, "Wow, you're as tall as I thought you were on TV." And but he was saying that they were watching every pitch of it. So obviously the Maris family was there at the end, and so the old timers were really pulling for Judge. They think that he should be the next captain, and they were happy to see him come back, but they're having a hard time wrapping their mind around $360 million because Richardson was telling me that his first salary in the big leagues was $5,000, and the next year he got a raise up to about $7,000. So and he spent most of that on a color TV. So it's just cool stuff. Totally different time. But I'm looking forward to kind of tying that all together because I think it's a great piece of not just Yankee history, but baseball history too, that we all just lived.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it. And is this your 4th book now?
This is 4. Yeah. I had Baby Bombers and then Mission 27, and then which I co-wrote with Mark Feinsand, and then Bronx Zoom. So this is 4, cranking them out. But the Yankees keep doing historic things, so we have to keep writing books about it.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you are one of the hardest working guys I see here in the industry. So we really appreciate
Thank you.
you taking some time to
Yeah.
talk to us today. If you could just let our listeners know where they can find you on Twitter and where they could find any other work that you want to plug.
Sure. Yeah, Twitter is Bryan Hoch, my name. That's easy, at BRYANHOCH. Same on Instagram, Facebook, Bryan Hoch MLB, and of course, read everything at MLB.com and Yankees.com.
All right, very good. Thank you again,
Thank you.
Bryan. We are going to take a quick break.
You got it, guys.
All right, thank you so much. Take care.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Brian.
you.
It was
It's a good
really
chat.
cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
enjoyed
All
it.
right.
Thanks.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Super
All right,
cool
we'll just
guy,
keep
man.
it rolling, Carlos. It's
Yeah.
fine, right? You could just edit it out, like when
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
pick
sure.
up the next segment. Okay, so I'm just
Sure.
gonna take like a
Yeah,
couple minutes.
I'm gonna put together a few things that for the Cortez part. So give me.
Okay, how much?
I'll need,
How
I'll
long
just
do you need?
no 5 minutes will
Okay,
be
sounds good.
enough.
All right, I'll be right back.
Hey, David.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, so someone is spying on us, Chris.
Mhm.
The boss is spying
The
on
boss,
us.
No,
yeah.
no, never, don't ever call me that. You're all,
Are you?
how'd it
Are
go?
you? Oh, super cool.
Yeah,
It was
the
super
interview
good.
was good. He was great.
Super great.
Is it just you two doing the post thing?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I'm trying to think, because I'm trying to see. Let me just test something really quick. I'm seeing if I change the layout on this room, if that will change the layout.
So we're
on your...
still, Dave, we're still recording technically right now, just so we didn't have to like do a whole nother link.
Yeah.
So should I end it now? Just and then like I don't know. I don't know how this works.
So I just tested it. I want to test one more thing. You guys can keep it going because Carlos, I'm assuming you edit these, right? You cut this part out.
Yeah.
When you edit. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to just test one more thing here. And if this works, oh yeah, we are perfect. I changed the background and I played a video on the other stream, and it didn't carry over to this.
Okay. So we could both record at the same time.
I knew we could both record. The only thing I was worried about is if I like changed a background or like if I played a video, if that would which it like that part I've seen before, but I've been able to record two at the same time. So I just wanted to make sure that didn't happen in the middle of your guys' recording.
Gotcha.
I just played a video and I just changed the background on the other room. I guess StreamYard must have updated that in the last like 6 months or so.
Okay.
So you guys should be good.
Cool.
Like, don't like have to like you have to rush, like do your thing. Like we're gonna go and interview CJ now, but we should both be able to do and no problems.
All right. Sounds
Awesome.
good. Good luck.
A great interview, man.
Thanks, guys.
Cool
I'm
guy,
pumped to
man.
hear the Bryan one, man. The Bryan Hoch one. That's gonna be dope when that comes out. Can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to edit it tonight, so we can have it for Saturday, for tomorrow.
Perfect.
If that
Perfect.
works. I'll try.
Yeah, I mean, whenever again, like whenever you guys like, it's just whenever you get to. Like, I'm gonna be busy tomorrow afternoon, so if you send it to me in the morning, I can definitely put it out in the morning. Otherwise, I probably won't get to it till the evening or Sunday morning.
Gotcha. Perfect.
All right. Good luck. Good luck finishing it up. But I already know you guys are gonna crush it. So, good
right,
seeing
man.
you also face to face
Yeah,
too, because
you
you're
too,
my
man.
guys.
Thank you, D.
All right.
Take care, man.
All right. See you guys.
See you.
See you. All right. Give me just 1 minute to get his number. Oh, God, I think this guy is super cool.
What's up? You cut out a little.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I lost you for
Nope.
a few minutes or for like a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Just one more minute, and I'll be ready.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up like the ADP list and all that just so I have it ready. So just need a couple here.
Gotcha. And I have this one here. First month. I bet Mike is super happy that they got Benintendi.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe I saw that was the largest free agent contract the White Sox have ever done.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane to me. Like I don't know how that's possible. It's not like they're a small market team, and they gave him what, like 5 years, 70 million.
Yeah, it looks like
It's really
cheap
not.
change.
You know, nowadays
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was shocked by that. To be honest with you, I didn't think the Yankees really needed him. You know, he's okay. I wasn't a huge fan of his though.
Yeah, I think the good thing about him is that he gets on base fairly enough. So that's something that the Yankees might use. But I mean, and just for getting rid of Hicks, that would be awesome for.
Oh my God, what a disaster! He's got to go. They can't just eat the contract and let it be over already.
Yeah, like the San Diego did with Hosmer.
Yeah, just
I think San Diego is still paying for it. They're still paying for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm almost done. I've been running the whole day, moving furniture, doing. Oh my God, moving is one of the. I don't know. We have a saying here in Venezuela it's called something like Venezuelan curse. It's I wish you need to move. That's like
Oh,
a
okay,
curse.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's funny. That I get it. Me and my wife were talking about that not that long ago. Like, we never want to move because it's just especially with the little ones, they have so much stuff.
Oh my.
It's just like I can't. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm dying in this house. I'm not going through that.
Yeah, I mean, and well, try to do it overseas, man. It's just I've had to move to 2 countries now, and it's really crazy too. So,
So
but I mean,
you're in Costa Rica now, though, right?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
did you go back to
and
Venezuela?
no, I'm in Costa Rica, and but
Okay.
before being here, we lived in Panama. So
Okay.
that's the first place where we went when we left Venezuela. So this is
Gotcha.
our second overseas. But now this move was just here. We didn't move so far away from where we used to live here. It's just a little bigger house, so for the kids and stuff. It's
Right.
it's
Right.
it's a good situation, but it's just that the hassle of having to move. All right, I have all
Getting
my
settled
stuff
in. Yeah.
here. Yeah, uh, I think I'm good whenever you are.
All right. Just give me a sec here. Just pulling up. I
Sure,
want to.
sure.
Hmm? Yeah, I want to pull
Don't
up
worry.
also the. I like using the auction calculator on Fangraphs to kind of give a sense of like what the projections,
Mhm.
what value, the projections are saying these guys have, and comparing that to ADP.
For Cole and Rodon.
Well, just all of them. Just yeah, like as we're talking, I'll just kind of look them up here.
Cool.
Yeah, he was great. Really, really nice guy.
Oh, super, super cool, and I mean, I love his attitude. He's like really invested in the. I think we've been lucky with all the. They've
Yeah, I
been
feel like
really, really
all the
invested.
ones we've had have all been like super just nice and accommodating and just like just chill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wrote to Loisiaga, and he didn't even see the DM. I sent him a couple of DM and
To who?
J Lo. I always have trouble pronouncing his name. Jonathan Loisiaga.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, he he just didn't
Yeah, I
see.
sent a couple to Trevino, but no, nothing. So it'll be tough. I mean, our best bet is probably, like Mike said, to try for like maybe a minor league player or a younger guy.
Yeah,
Once they get to a certain level, they got other stuff to probably focus on.
sure. But I haven't lost faith on Guillorme, Luis Guillorme. I think
All
I
right,
think
keep plugging
I think
away,
I
man.
can.
That would be a good get.
Yeah. I'm working his father. I'm trying to get through
All
it.
right, cool.
Well, let's see what does that. Okay, pitch percentage.
Do you want to start out with the question just to kind of like tie it together? We could start out with like what you took away, anything that stood out about the interview, and then we'll transition into the ADP talk.
Oh, sure,
Okay.
sure. Just give me 1 second here. See some. I have like 100 tabs open, and it's.
Hmm.
Give me 1 second. Pitch velocity by season 2022. Every game. Just a moment. And yeah, here it is. Let's look at that. Cortez had a dip in his velocity by the end of the year.
So I'm just gonna tee it up for you. Like I'm just gonna say, all right, Carlos, you're gonna do our player spotlight segment or something like that, and the floor is yours to talk about Nestor Cortez, and then you just do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, just a couple of minutes, right? So
Yeah, 2 minute. Yeah, whatever.
okay. All right,
right.
I'm good. Yeah. I lost the connection for a moment. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's I'm gonna start in a second here. Oh, hold on. Welcome back. We are here, me and Carlos, here to break down our interview with Bryan Hoch, talk about our takeaways, and also talk about some ADP and take a deeper look at some of the players, some of the Yankees that we are interested in for fantasy. So, I'm going to start out by asking you, Carlos, what were some of your major takeaways from the interview?
Well, I think it was a really interesting interview. I think Brian was really, really clear in on most of the stuff, and he gave us good insights and a lot of things. But I think for me, as from fantasy baseball perspective, is Clay Holmes. I think he has no doubts about him being the closer for the Yankees. Health permitted, right? And that applies for anyone these days, right? So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that I'm having here. And those that had already drafted, I think he's being scooped really consistently. So they're going to be happy about hearing that Brian was adamant on him being the closer for the Yankees. But there is also the possibility that our friend helped with the last name, Luis. I always have trouble with him. Uh, um, it, it's the he's the handcuff for the Yankees, right? And I think, I mean, I just I'm gonna edit this out, Chris. I don't want to mess
Yeah, I
with the
don't know.
name
Your connection's a little
of
choppy.
uh, yeah. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna. I think it's from. I'm gonna switch Wi-Fi's. Okay, just
Sure.
give me 1 second. Mhm. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if. How do you hear me now?
You're good.
Is this better?
Yeah, I won't know until you're talking though. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. You were fine, and then all of a
Okay.
sudden it just got really choppy.
Okay. So let's try again. I still have to. This should work, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna
What do
just
you want to pick up?
go back to. Yeah, I'm gonna pick up with the last part on Clay
Okay.
Holmes. So um yeah, he was really adamant on Clay Holmes being the closer for the team. Although he gave us a good advice on that if we wanted to handcuff the situation with Jonathan Loaiziga, that he could be, the second on board. But I think I feel confident as he was that Holmes will be the man, and he was just too good when he was healthy, and it would be I think it would not be wise for the Yankees not to use him.
Yeah, he's kind of going in that third tier of closers. If I look at ADP, Clay Holmes as an ADP, and this is according to NFBC. I did just draft champions because I know they have these gladiator leagues now, and
Yeah,
ADP might be a little skewed or different because of that. So I just looked at draft champions leagues, which are more, I guess, traditional formats since November 4th, and he's going at an ADP of 127. So I think that's a very fair price for him. And yeah, I think that was
sure.
interesting how adamant he was, almost 100% sure that he's going to be the closer at the beginning of the year. And he did say Loaiziga would be the handcuff. I don't know. It seems like the Yankees have been a little hesitant to really just give him the job. So we'll see. I think there's a lot to play out there in terms of high leverage behind Clay Holmes, but again,
Yeah,
it seems like he's a pretty safe bet there, at least to start the year. And he had some injuries last year. He had some back issues, so that may be scaring some people away. But he was really good when healthy. So we'll see how things play out there. Another thing, and kind of sticking with the bullpen here, he mentioned Greg Weissert, and I don't know if he might factor in at some point down the road in high leverage, but he certainly has the stuff to do so. So he seemed pretty confident about him playing a role on this team this coming year. And like I said in the interview, I've heard some people talk about him. I think Ryan Venasio actually was listening to a podcast that he was on, and he brought him up as kind of a late, a guy going past pick 700 in these draft champions leagues. So an interesting name to keep an eye on there. So let's transition fully into this ADP discussion, and we've kind of I've tossed this question to you and Mike in all of our previous episodes. But I'm
yeah.
wondering, which Yankee are you most interested in at ADP and why?
Which Yankee I'm more interested in? I mean, the newer Yankee Carlos Rodon just got way more interesting, right? But
Yeah.
that could be the easy answer if we think about it, because his value just, and especially with all those, as it's so hard to get wins, and having the Yankees behind you, it's always a good way to get those W's that are not so easy to get, and Rodon should get plenty of them than when he was with Chicago or San Francisco, right? But to be honest, if you ask me, and I would go with one that might surprise you, and that would be Gleyber Torres. And this is the thing. I think he's like 120 something, 25, 26. The last time I checked, and I mean, second base is not very easy to fill in fantasy baseball. Sometimes you have the top guys, and then just like third base these years there are little shallow positions this year. If you look at Gleyber, I think yes, he had a great beginning, and then he went a little off, as you mentioned, really, really clearly. The expectations maybe were too high, but the way I see it is that he only has one way to go, and that's up from now on. And that means that he could have a really solid 2023. The only thing that I'm worried is that he's not a Yankee by
Yeah.
by when the season starts, and that could be a problem, right? Because you want to be in a lineup where Aaron Judge is batting, and give protections to everyone else, and then you have Rizzo, who is always great protecting other players. But I think Gleyber Torres is a good. If you ask me, one of the could be a surprise Yankee acquisition for your teams next year.
I'm with you, man, and I think I made my feelings clear on Glaber during the interview. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why people are just kind of down on him, and I see all these rumors about the Yankees wanting to trade him, and I don't really see like a huge reaction from the fan base. And again, just scratching
Yeah,
my head. I mean, we're talking about a 26-year-old player. Uh, it's not like he's well past his prime. Like, he's just entering it. He
right.
hit 24 home runs as a 21-year-old. So it feels like he's been around forever, but he is still squarely in the middle of his development. Like, he could take another step, right? Like, maybe he did
Well,
benefit from the happy fun ball in 2019. Maybe that power was a little bit of an illusion, but I still think just if we go off of last year, that's still a really solid player. And when we're talking about it
sure.
specifically from a fantasy angle, I mean, he could be a 5 category contributor. He's not like a huge stolen base guy, but right now Steamer has him projected
He
for
was double
13.
digits, 10.
Right, right. He gave you double digits.
Yeah, he had
Um,
10.
yeah.
Yeah,
Last year, just in case, people don't have this off the top of their head, he had 24 home runs, 10 stolen bases, and a 257 average. So wasn't lighting the world on fire, but a solid line, especially for what you paid for him. And it doesn't seem, again, like people are that excited. His ADP currently, like you said, is around 125. So he's going 40 picks after Andres Jimenez, almost 50 picks after Tommy Edman, 60 picks after Trevor Story. And if you plug Glaber's projection into an auction calculator, he actually grades out as more valuable than Jimenez, more valuable than Trevor Story, more valuable than Edman. So I think there's a little bit of a buying opportunity here. I don't know. I feel like people are just a little too influenced by what we thought of Gleyber when he first came up. So I like that answer a lot. You brought up Carlos Rodon, and yeah, it seems like that is the easy answer. I think a lot of people now, you're going to see his
yeah,
ADP rise. He's going around pick 50 now, but he's going to have the Yankee tax. And I'm already seeing people on Twitter talking about him being a lefty in Yankee Stadium and how he's going to neutralize the right field porch. So there's going to be some helium there. But let's just say he goes up to around pick 40. I think that's probably realistic. Garrett Cole is going, pull this up here, going around pick 19. So at their respective prices, who would you rather have right now, Cole or Rodon?
um, I like the idea of having a second round call. You know, uh, uh, if that's, I mean, he had an off year for his standards, and but he's still a stud, man. And Cole just Ks everyone. He puts inning after inning. He's as reliable as you can get. I mean, and getting him in the second round, I think that's pretty cool because he could be. I'm not usually a first round pitcher drafter, to be honest. I don't do that frequently, but getting Gary Cole in the second round, I think that's some you have to take him. And at 19, that's where he's going now. So I think I would go for him instead of Rodon.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense given Cole's track record and more. Frankly, Rodon just hasn't been doing this that long, right? And there's been a lot of
Yeah.
concerns with his health in past years. So I think from a skills perspective, they're probably in a similar range, but I think Cole kind of wins out and will have the higher ADP just because of the stability and
All right.
the
Yeah.
number of 200 inning seasons that he's given you. It is interesting though. Garrett Cole last year was pretty much what he was. I know there was some home run issues. The ERA was a little bit elevated, but if you peel that back, the skills were pretty much the same as they've been since he's been a Yankee. But you see now, I mean, he was going in some cases like top 5 last year, and now he slipped almost a full round. So just an observation.
Yeah.
It seems like pitching in general, there's a general consensus that pitching is deeper, it's easier to find. So even these top line guys are being pushed down a little. I don't know if that's right or wrong, or but just an observation there. But let's move to another member of the rotation who won a lot of people leagues last year, and we're talking about Nestor Cortez. So this is a new segment that we want to introduce. Just we want to spotlight one player from each team, and I think Nestor is a good one because people have questions, right? Is last year, is the success he had, is that sustainable? So Carlos, you're a pretty smart guy, man. You have your own model that you use called specs, so to evaluate pitchers. So tell us a little bit about Nestor Cortez and how specs and what specs thinks about him.
I think I've told you before, but I'm gonna make you talk to my wife about me being smart, so you can put a good word on me over there.
Absolutely, man.
So Nestor Cortez, and the man that can do everything, and no one knows how does he do it. He's surprising, and I have to admit that I didn't believe in him anyway. And I think I wasn't the only one, right? He
Absolutely.
took everything, and he appeared out of nowhere apparently, and he's doing great things. He ended the year with a 2.44 ERA and a sub one whip, so 0.92. So those are league winners for a guy that pitches almost 160 innings, right? That volume and those ratios are just golden for any pitching rotation in fantasy. And he added 12 wins, which is great for being a Yankee for sure. So he's like the full package. People, and I've read some comments that people is a little concerned that he looked like running out of gas at the end of the year, and actually his value was down in his last 3 starts. But what I want to people to look at is that he started really slow too in terms of velocity, and he was a little up and down all the way through the year, and that means that he doesn't relies on having this absolute blasting heater. He just don't need it. He doesn't need it. He can do a lot of his stuff without. We're gonna see those up and downs, and that was the same in 2021. So I would not be concerned in that regard. When I look at other peripheral things like K minus walks, he doesn't look, so the outstanding like every other pitcher. He just was barely on 20% and K minus walk percentage, which is good, but not just crazy. He had a 20% CSW But the thing with Nestor, and that's where I want to focus here, is the way he dominates the or the way he makes batters swing to pitches outside of the zone. And that's one of the things he does better than most guys. And the ability to also, when he wants, he puts the ball inside the zone. So that's a good combination. That's really good. I use this metric called specs, which just takes five different other stats: K minus walks percentages, CSW percentages, and the combination of swings outside of the zone and pitches in the zone. And I use a ERA estimator called PCRA, which is really really good. It's like an advanced version of Sierra and all these other estimators, and that was developed by a guy that now works for the Houston Astros, Connor Kirkin. And this PCRA is an estimator that works with barrels and barrel percentages, and it's Nestor is quite good at making people not hit the ball square, and quite good making batters swing to outside pitches. And that's all he needs to keep doing next year. He doesn't need a huge hit. By specs, Nestor was the 20th starting pitcher in majors, better than Lance Lynn, better than Joe Musgrove, better than or close to, not better, but close to Max Fried. And that's crazy to me, because you don't expect those high rankings for Nestor, or close to those guys. But sometimes this is a guy like Aaron Nolak that doesn't have huge uh, commanding things, but the peripherals are just good enough to keep him doing great things. So I think Nestor is going to have a great 2023. If anyone wants to check the leaderboard that I use for specs, just in my bio, they can find the link to the leaderboard. And I'm more than happy if anyone have any questions regarding it on Twitter to talk a little bit more about it. Don't my final word on Nestor will be: don't be worried about the ups and downs in his velocity. Nestor doesn't need that. As long as he keeps doing what he is good at, making people swing at outside pitches and putting the ball in the zone whenever he wants, he's golden in my book.
That was awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for sharing a little bit about specs, and definitely go check out Carlos's Twitter page, because he has the link to the leaderboard in his description there. So awesome stuff. Really, the thing with Nestor too, I mean, I don't know how much swag is in your model, but he's got it. And I think,
Yeah,
I
all
think
of
it
it.
gives him a little extra boost. And with the mustache, I think that's just a killer combination. But
Yeah.
anyway, we are going to move on to our next segment here, which is a numbers game, which we've done past few episodes. So switch it up a little bit, because last time he was just like Mike floundering around and not knowing the answer to the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out a number, and I'm going to give you two options, and you got to guess which one is correct, or which one that number applies to. So we're going to continue here with Nestor Cortez as one of the options. So the number is 232. And my question to you, Carlos, is that Nestor Cortez's BABIP from last year, batting average on balls in play, or the amount of strikeouts that Joey Gallo had last year?
I think it could be both, but I have to admit that I cheated here, because while I was preparing the stuff for Nestor, I saw the BABIP, so I know it's 232. his
All
BABIP.
right.
Yeah.
You are correct. I just I wasn't sure about the Gallo thing. I thought it would be believable enough, so I went back and looked. I think he had around like 160, but got to remember that he wasn't a full-time player by the end of the season, and
Yeah.
I think he struck out like almost 40-something% of his at bats. I mean, just what a disaster that was. But
Yeah.
yeah, so 232 was Nestor Cortez's BABIP. League average, as many of you know, is 300. So I guess that's one thing that really sticks out to me when I'm evaluating Nestor. I think he's still going to be good. I think there's still a lot there, a lot to like you mentioned earlier. But I think there was definitely some good fortune, and I think we're looking at probably the best season of his career. But listen, I doubted the guy when he started off strong. I'm like, this guy's not going to keep it up. But he kept proving people wrong, and I'm hoping that he proves me wrong. So anyway, we are going to move on to the second.
Just one thing on Nestor there, Chris, is that people should not expect that 242, 244 ERA again. That's a career year for him. But one thing regarding his BABIP is that yes, the league average is 300. But what I found is that players regress to mostly to their career average.
Mm-hmm.
And Nestor's is 266, of course, influenced by last year's 232. So there is not that huge difference with his career average, his career BABIP, right? So yes, there's going to be absolutely regression, but might not be that huge after all.
You just shut me up, man. No, I love it. I love it. I love the pushback. And yeah, I think that's such a good point too, that we kind of have this number 300 as the average in our mind, but we also have to consider that some players do have, not many, but some players do have an ability to suppress hard contact, and their BABIP is naturally just going to be lower. So yeah, really good point. So listen, man, I'm gonna have to get you. Have you seen like the Nestor Cortez shirts on RotoWare that have him as like Super Mario? Like, I think I may have to get that. You like Nestor quite a bit. I love it. So anyway, moving on. Our next number is 1,142. So the two options are: was that Aaron Judge's OPS against righties last year? Or was that the amount of times that IKF weekly grounded out and I threw something at the TV last year?
I'll go with that just for fun.
Yeah. No, I counted. It was a little lower. It was only 1,100 times they did that. Oh my God, what a nightmare! I can't believe he's back. But it actually, so it was Aaron Judge's OPS against righties, which was number 1 in the league. I mean, there's not much to say about the guy. That's why we didn't spend a ton of time talking about him, because what are you going to say? He's unbelievable. What really, we're not going to really gain anything by doing a statistical breakdown of him at this point. The only thing that matters is his price, and the price has obviously gone up quite a bit from last year. He's now going squarely in the first round, round pick 5. So I got to ask you, Carlos, are you comfortable with Aaron Judge at that price?
You have to, man. He's the superstar, and he's not gonna hit 62 homers. But what about if he hits 48? That's just.
Are you gonna say what if he hits 74?
Yeah. Well, he could. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, 48 homers is just amazing, And he will provide some stolen bases, double-digit stolen bases, a great batting average, which I believe we don't talk enough about these guys providing this huge batting average, especially in a depressed in this depressed era of batting average, right? We need those guys to pump up our batting average in our team, so they're really valuable. So yes, for sure, you have to take Judge.
I don't have to do anything. No. I don't know. I'm a little mixed.
Yeah.
I love Judge, obviously, as a fan and just watching him. And maybe this is silly. I know there's just such a debate around injury and his size. And Can he stay healthy as he gets older? I don't know. He's probably not someone I'm going to have on a lot of teams. I'll say it
Right.
that way. I can understand absolutely the argument, and I think what you said about the stolen bases, and maybe I just need to get over like this perception, like Aaron Judge is just a slugger. Like, nah, man, he was aggressive last year, double-digit stolen bases. Bryan Hoch mentioned that he sees the Yankees continuing to be aggressive. That is just part of like their organizational philosophy, which was really successful last year.
Right.
So, and with the bigger bases, who knows? Maybe he hits 20 stolen bases. So I get it. It's weird. I talked about this in another episode. I'm more reluctant for some weird reason to draft Yankees on my fantasy team. Like I feel like I'm gonna have like a bias. I usually end up with like no Yankees on my team as a result of that. So but
that's
yeah,
a good thing of rooting for Oakland. You don't have very
you
good
don't have to
players
worry
there.
about that because there's no one to draft on that team.
Yeah.
But all right, so moving on to the next one. 37 million. That is the number. Is that the amount of money remaining on Aaron Hicks's contract or the combined value of all of my El Duque rookie cards? Give me some good news, Carlos.
I just hope that that's your cards, and you just remember about your friend in Costa Rica. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Hicks in this one.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. I might be a little disappointed when I actually look up the value of those El Duque cards, but it'll be something I pass on to my kids, and
Yeah.
never know.
Who knows?
But Aaron Hicks, man, 37 million on that contract. What? There's just a lot of bad moves that have been made in recent years, and he's right at the top of the list. Carlos, if we held a 100 team league draft where you had to start 20 outfielders, would you draft Aaron Hicks in that format? Me? No, but I want to know.
I'm going to go with your option of Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla, baby. I'll take him over Aaron Hicks at this stage of their career. I can't see him. There are three guys. If I see Hicks, Donaldson, and IKF trot out there on opening day, I don't care who they get. I'm just going to not. And I think the fan base feels this way. Like,
yeah,
they're just not going to be happy until they shed some of this dead weight from that team.
For sure. That needs to happen, man. That needs to happen. Definitely.
So I had to put that in there because I just want to bitch a little bit. But next one is the number 4. Is that the total pulled fly balls given up by Carlos Rodon to left-handed batters last season, which I saw on Twitter. Chris Clegg posted that. Well, I just gave you the answer. Oh my gosh. But is that the total amount of fly balls given up to left-handed batters or the amount of shirtless David Mendelson pictures currently on the internet?
Well, even after you gave the answer, I'm going to go with this because that man that only loves to put shirtless pictures of him everywhere. So I'll go with that.
Well, let's go. Not everywhere, but I just like to bust his chops about it because I saw a while back where he had a shirtless picture. And listen, I mean, the guy, he's cut up enough. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to hide that? So
yeah,
I get it. I've only seen the one, but I'm sure I'll probably spend some time digging to see if I could find a couple more. But anyway, we talked about Rodon. Like I said, that was given out by Chris Clegg, that stat. His stock is way up. We know people are going to be interested in him, and I'm seeing the narrative already that Yankee Stadium might actually be okay for him because he neutralizes left-handed batters. So I feel kind of like a sucker, like giving into that, buying into the helium there, but I think it makes sense. I'll still take. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was thinking that if you mentioned that he could be up around an ADP of 40, that's Adam Nola's ADP too, and I think I would go with Nola, to be honest. Around
okay, I think that's a fair. Would you rather? Yep.
Yeah.
So Nola, I think it's interesting. I definitely would be interested out of Nola, Rodon, and Cole. Nola at that price is definitely
that's a sweet price.
Yeah, sure. That's a good price.
Yeah.
So all right, moving on to our last one. number is 4.47. Is that Frankie Montas's career road ERA or the amount of edibles that I consumed after Game 4 of last season's ALCS loss to the Astros?
Well, that's better than Xanax or something like that. But
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's a better option.
That's a better option. But I'm gonna go with Montes ERA. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm still.
Yeah, the only
about it.
reason it wasn't the latter, I didn't have them available, but I needed it. That was quite possibly the most depressing Yankee game I had ever watched. I mean, they were just so overmatched, and it was just like, I don't know if you remember that game. They had a bunch of rain delays. The game didn't end till like after midnight. It was
it was a terrible game all in all for Yankees fans.
Oh, it was just a horror show. So yeah, I needed them, but I will be prepared next year in case we play the Astros again. Because man, they're just so loaded. Now they add Jose Abreu. I don't know.
They're incredible.
It's not looking great. But quickly, Frankie Montas. We haven't talked about him much yet. What are your thoughts on him? Are you betting on a bounce back for him this coming year?
Well, I think, and I could put it in the same way that the Yankees are looking at it right now. He's a fine SP5.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
He's a great SP5 with SP4, maybe SP3 potential. That would be maybe a reach, but I think he's fair. He's fairly valued for an SP5, possible SP4. So. If you keep your expectations like that, you won't be disappointed or anything. You will get what you're paying for.
Yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock into what he did at the end of last year. You know, he had an injury.
Yeah.
And being traded midseason, he'd been in Oakland his entire career. I think we always have to consider that factor into how it affects these players. So
Sure.
I think you give him a pass. I wanted to put that stat in there, though, because we also have to realize that Montas pitched in easily the best pitcher's ballpark in baseball. So going to Yankee Stadium, I'm a little concerned about that. He's currently going at a ADP of 204. And yeah, I guess he's probably at that price. He's like your SP4, maybe SP5. I'm probably not going there because while I don't put too much stock into what he did as a Yankee, I do think that maybe our perception of him is a little bit skewed by the fact that he was pitching in Oakland for all that time. What do you think about? And I'm sure you had plenty of opportunity to watch him.
Sure.
What are your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah. And I'm sure the Yankees know that that's what they paid for. They know that he's not going to be, an ace or even a third, and that's why they got Rodon. So they pushed him at the bottom of that rotation, and that's fair. He's a guy that's going to help you go through the season. He's going to eat innings whenever you need it, but that's pretty much about it.
Yeah. From a fantasy perspective, at that price, I want a little bit more than that.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I think there's some guys that are more intriguing going around him. I'll just give you a couple names. Trevor Rogers, we talked about as a potential bounce back candidate. He's going about a round later. Patrick Sandoval, I know he didn't quite live up to expectations last year.
Yeah.
But Edward Cabrera actually is right above.
That's an interesting
name.
That changeup is sick. Cabrera's changeup is sick. So.
Yeah, you got Grayson Rodriguez going in that range. So, yeah, I don't know about those guys specifically, but I'm probably not going down that road with Montas at that price.
Yeah.
So anyway, that wraps up our numbers game. Good job, Carlos. I think you performed well. Maybe they were a little bit easier this time, so I don't know if you can compare your performance to
Poor Mike. Yeah, you were too harsh with them.
Yeah. So our last segment and something else new that we're going to try is going to be non-baseball. You know, we do this podcast because really our goal is to give you guys information and gals information that you may not be getting in other places. And we want you to walk away from each podcast with a nugget or, some piece of advice or information that's going to make you a better player, get you more prepared for the upcoming season. But we also were thinking, because I know we all are passionate in our personal lives about like mental health and wellness and things like that. So maybe it's not like you wouldn't expect that as part of a podcast, but it's our podcast, so we can do whatever the hell we want. Um, so at the end of each episode, we were just gonna spend a minute or two talking about one thing that we are doing to maintain our overall wellness, our mental health, physical health, and just kind of give it as maybe something that someone else who's listening may take and use in their lives and may benefit them. So, not only are you walking away hopefully with something beneficial for you as a fantasy player, but just in general as a person. So that's what we're doing here. So Carlos, let's start it out. What's one thing that you personally, I know you got a lot going on, man, so you really need self-care. You need to
Yeah.
be using some good strategies here. So what are you doing to maintain your overall wellness right now?
Yeah, I mean, living far away from your country, and sometimes not because it was your first choice, but because you didn't have many options. That takes a toll in
Mm,
on your daily life, on the things that you have to deal with. But one I believe that the thing that changed my life in terms of being prepared for my whatever comes in front of us is to practice thankfulness, man.
mm,
And that's something that might sound like a cliche, or sometimes people would say sometimes you can't be thankful because life is too hard. Or yeah, I'm not saying that you are just, you know, ignoring your situations or your problems, right? But just taking a couple of minutes daily, maybe in the morning, or maybe when you're in your bed you're going to sleep, to, you know, I'm thankful for, because I'm in this next to the person I love, and I'm with my kids and they're healthy. You have to acknowledge the good things that happen in your life, because there's
mm,
too much negativity everywhere, and you, if you let that get into you, that just accumulates in you, and it makes having to deal with other things harder. So just trying to practice a couple of minutes. I'm a religious guy, so I do it during my prayers. But if you're not a religious guy, you can meditate around it, you know,
mm,
and during your meditations, you can practice uh, and acknowledging the, could be small things that went well for you in that day, and that's I think that can slowly have an accumulative effect of, you know, improving your general mood, and the way that you face of the things that you have to deal every day. And for me, honestly, personally, has been a game changer
mhm.
to me.
I love it, man. So well said. And listen, this is something backed by research. People who engage in intentional, consistent gratitude practice, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Taking a couple minutes, like you said, and just acknowledging the good things in our lives, the things that
Yeah,
we are grateful for. That's been proven to have really positive overall effects on our well-being. So definitely. I mean, nothing to add to that. So well said. So yeah, just maybe start out your day with that. Just one or two things. I know we're doing that with my daughter now. And I sense that that's really helpful for her. It's almost become just a part of her routine. We go to bed. All
cool.
right, what'd you feel grateful for? What made you smile today? So,
That's
it's
awesome.
easy. It's
Yeah.
easy to lose track of those things sometimes. So All right. Well, we are going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to take a little bit of a break here for the next couple of weeks with the holidays coming up. Going to take some time to regroup and, evaluate what we're doing. And we are open to any feedback. So if you have anything, any supportive or even critical feedback, please feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. But we thank you again so much for being with us and all the support that we've gotten so far. So unfortunately, we didn't have Mike today. One of these days, you'll get all three of us. It's tough with our schedules, but we are going to make it happen soon enough. But for Mike, for Carlos, for me, thank you so much for listening to the Fantasy Baseball Beat.